No one helped the Korean Mafia boss until the waitress greeted him in Korean. The old man shivering in the doorway of New York's most exclusive restaurant, Aurelia, looked like he had lost everything. His coat was torn, a relic from a forgotten decade. His boots were caked in mud, and the staff eyed him as if he were a contagion. They laughed, they pointed, and they told him to get lost. They didn't know that the man standing in the rain wasn't a beggar. He was Mr. Kwon, the ruthless and powerful Korean mafia boss, head of the city's most formidable syndicate. He was testing them. Only one person, a struggling 22-year-old African waitress named Amara, saw a human being instead of a nuisance. When she offered him a gentle smile, she didn't just earn a tip. She started a war that would scorch the city. This is the story of how one act of kindness saved a life and ended a dozen others. The rain in Manhattan that Tuesday wasn't just rain. It was a punishment, lashing against the floor-to-ceiling glass windows of Aurelia, the kind of restaurant where a bottle of water cost more than most people's hourly wage. Inside, the air smelled of truffle oil, expensive perfume, and old money. Outside, the city was drowning. Amara adjusted her apron, a simple white dress and red vest, wincing as she tightened the strings. Her lower back throbbed. She had been on her feet for 10 hours straight, covering a double shift because the hostess had called in sick again. Amara didn't have that luxury. She had rent due, a maxed-out credit card, and a grandmother in a nursing home whose medication costs were rising faster than her tips. Table 4 needs a refill on the Pinot. A voice snapped behind her. Amara jumped, turning to see Gregory, the floor manager. Gregory was a man who wore suits that were too tight and a cologne that was too strong, managing the restaurant with a sneer. "I'm on it, Gregory," Amara said, forcing a smile. "And fix your hair. You look like you walked here in a wind tunnel." "This is Aurelia, not a diner," Gregory hissed before spinning on his heel to greet a senator. Amara swallowed her pride, hurried to the bar, and made her rounds. The restaurant was buzzing, oblivious to the storm. Then the heavy oak front door creaked open. A gust of wind blew rain into the pristine foyer. Silence rippled through the dining room. Standing there was a man who looked like he had crawled out of a gutter. He was around 45 years old, hunched over in a heavy, waterlogged trench coat. His dark hair was plastered to his skull, and he was trembling violently. The hostess froze, panic flashing in her eyes. "Sir," she squeaked. "Sir, you can't be here." The old man looked up. His eyes were dark, scanning the area with a strange predatory intensity that didn't match his frail appearance. I only wish for a table," the man said, his voice raspy. "Just soup, please. It is cold." Gregory descended upon the scene like a vulture. "Excuse me," his voice boomed. "This is a private establishment. We have a dress code, and we certainly don't serve vagrants." "I have money," the man said, reaching a shaking hand into his pocket. "I don't care if you have a winning lottery ticket," Gregory sneered, snapping his fingers for a busboy. "Escort this gentleman out before he drips mud on the Persian rug." The diners watched with amusement. "Can you believe the nerve?" a woman in pearls whispered loudly. Amara watched from the service station, her heart hammering. It was cruel. She looked at the man's hands, turning blue from the cold. He wasn't drunk, he was freezing. "Please," the old man tried one last time. "Just 10 minutes to warm up." "Out." Gregory pointed to the street. The busboy moved to grab his arm, and the old man flinched, his eyes hardening for a split second before he bowed his head in defeat. Amara couldn't breathe. She thought of her grandfather, a proud man who had worked his entire life. If someone had treated him like this, it would have broken him. Ignoring her debt, ignoring the rent, ignoring the fact that Gregory had threatened to fire her last week, Amara slammed the water pitcher down on the counter. "Stop." The restaurant went silent again. Gregory turned slowly, his face turning purple. "Excuse me, Amara?" She walked forward, her legs shaking but her chin high. She gently placed a hand on the old man's soaked shoulder. "He's staying," Amara said, her voice firm. "He's sitting at my station. Table 9 is open. It's in the back corner. I am not letting an old man freeze to death on the sidewalk." "If you seat him," Gregory hissed, leaning into her ear, "you are finished here. You walk out that door with him." Amara looked at the old man. He was looking at her now, truly looking. His eyes were the color of espresso, deep and unreadable. He wasn't looking at her like a savior. He was analyzing her, assessing her worth. "Then I'm finished," Amara said quietly. She turned to the old man and smiled, a genuine, warm smile. "Come with me. Ignore him. Let's get you some hot soup." Gregory was too shocked by the public insubordination to cause a scene. He would let her serve the bomb, then fire her publicly at the end of the shift. "On your head be it," he muttered. Amara guided the old man to the secluded booth in the back. She helped him off with his soaked coat. Underneath, he wore a black Mafia suit, frayed at the cuffs but surprisingly well-tailored, with a white collared shirt. "Sit," she said softly. "I'll bring you a warm towel." As soon as she was gone, the man's demeanor shifted. The trembling ceased. He reached into his inner pocket, not for a wallet, but for a small burner phone. No signal. He scanned the room, noting the exits, the staff, the security cameras. This was a man looking for a way out of a trap. Mr. Kwon, the formidable Korean mafia boss, had been ambushed 3 blocks away. His driver was dead, his bodyguards scattered. The Dalton crew had finally made their move. He had ditched his primary phone and his gun to blend in, playing the role of a vagrant. He needed shelter, and he needed to know if this girl was simply an idiot or an angel. Amara returned with a steaming towel and a bowl of lobster bisque. She hadn't wrung it into the system. If she was getting fired, she was going to steal the soup. She placed the towel in his hands. He took it, pressing the warmth against his face. When he lowered it, he looked less like a drowned rat and more like a tired hawk.
"Thank you," he said.
"It's horrible out there," Amara said, pouring him water. "My grandmother always says you never turn away someone who knocks on your door. She taught me that a guest is a gift, that you treat everyone with dignity, no matter what they look like." Mr. Kwon froze, his eyes narrowing. He stared at her, his facade of the helpless beggar cracking completely. Her simple words, spoken with such earnest belief, struck a chord deep within him. In his world of high-stakes crime and brutal betrayal, such pure, unconditional decency was a foreign concept. He looked at this young African waitress, whose own life was clearly a struggle, and saw a strength he hadn't encountered in years. "What is your name?" he asked, his voice now steady and commanding. "Amara," she replied. "You possess an uncommon heart, Amara," he murmured, tasting the soup. "I'm just doing my job," she said, glancing at Gregory, who was glaring from across the room. "Look, eat quickly. My manager is a difficult man." Mr. Kwon looked over Amara's shoulder at Gregory, memorizing his face. He filed it away in the mental cabinet reserved for people who needed to be corrected. "He is a small man with a small amount of power," Mr. Kwon said. "Those are the most dangerous kind." "He's going to fire me," Amara admitted, her shoulders slumping. "But it's okay. I hate this place anyway." Suddenly, the front door burst open again. 2 men in long black trench coats strode in. They looked like sharks in a goldfish pond. One had a scar running down his cheek. The other kept his right hand buried deep inside his jacket. They ignored the hostess and began scanning the room. Mr. Kwon stiffened. He stared into his soup, his hand slowly moving beneath the table, gripping a steak knife. "Amara," he whispered, his voice like steel. "Listen to me. Do not look at them. Do not react.
What?
Who? The men who just entered. They are looking for me. Amara's heart stopped. She looked at the old man, then at the two terrifying figures stalking through the dining room. The police? No, Mr. Kwan said, a dark smirk on his lips. Much worse. Gregory, seeing the men, marched up to them. The man with the scar grabbed him by the throat and shoved him against a wall. We are looking for an old man, the scarred man growled. Graying hair, trench coat, looks like a beggar. Seen him? The restaurant went deathly silent. Brad, gasping for air, was paralyzed with fear. Amara stood frozen. She looked down at Mr. Kwan, who gripped the steak knife. If you tell them I am here, he whispered, they will likely reward you. They will kill me, and you will be rich. It was the ultimate test. The killer dropped Gregory and shouted to the room. I said, has anyone seen an old man? His partner pulled a suppressed pistol. Diners screamed and ducked. Anyone who speaks up gets to live. Amara looked at the terrified diners. She looked at Gregory, who was wheezing on the floor. His eyes darted toward the back corner. He opened his mouth, ready to rat them out. Amara made a split-second decision. She grabbed the pitcher of ice water, stepped out from the booth, and shouted, Hey! The two gunmen turned. The pistol pointed straight at her chest. He was here, Amara lied, pointing toward the kitchen doors. He ran through the kitchen, out the back alley. He stole some bread and ran. The gunman stared. Are you sure? I saw him, Amara screamed, adding a touch of panic to her voice. He pushed me. Please don't shoot. Gregory, still on the floor, tried to speak, but Amara accidentally kicked him in the ribs as she stumbled back, silencing him. The gunmen didn't wait. They sprinted toward the kitchen, chasing a ghost. Amara stood shaking. She turned back to the booth. Mr. Kwan was standing now, tall and imposing. He was no longer a hunched-over beggar. He placed the steak knife on the table. He looked at Amara with an expression of pure awe. You lied for me, he said softly. You risked a bullet for a stranger. You're not a stranger, Amara whispered, tears forming in her eyes. You're a guest. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, heavy gold ring with a black onyx stone, engraved with the snarling face of a Korean tiger. He pressed it into her palm.
Keep this.
Hide it. Do not show it to anyone yet. What is it? Insurance, Mr. Kwan said. I must go. Those men will be back in 2 minutes. They will come for you. Do not go home tonight. Go to the St. Regis Hotel. Ask for Mr. Alistair. Show him the ring. Do not leave until I come for you. Who are you? Amara asked, gripping the ring. Mr. Kwan buttoned his tattered coat, looking like a king in rags. I am the man who owes you a life, he said. And Mr. Kwan always pays his debts. He moved toward a side exit, then looked back at Gregory, who was struggling to his feet. And you, Mr. Kwan said, pointing a finger like a loaded weapon. Pray. Because you just insulted the wrong man, he vanished into the rainy night. Amara stood alone in the chaos. Sirens wailed in the distance. Gregory got up, his face red with rage. You, he snarled, wiping blood from his lip. You lying witch. You're fired. And I'm telling the police you were an accomplice. The look in Gregory's eyes wasn't just anger. It was the frantic desperation of a man who owed money to bad people. He wasn't calling the police. Amara sprinted to the employee lockers, her hands shaking. She grabbed her purse and shoved the gold ring deep into her pocket. As she burst out, she heard Gregory's voice from his office. Yes, Marco. Listen to me. The girl, the waitress, Amara.
She lied.
She sent your men the wrong way. Kwan was here.
Marco Dalton.
Even a waitress knew that name. The Dalton crew was the new blood in New York, violent and without honor. If Gregory was calling Marco Dalton, Amara wasn't just fired. She was marked for death. She ran for the service elevator, smashing the button. Just as it arrived, the scarred hitman stormed back into the kitchen, his gun now openly displayed. He looked at Gregory, who was pointing frantically toward the locker room. The elevator doors closed. Amara ran from the basement into the sheeting rain. She flagged down a taxi, ignoring the honking horns. St. Regis Hotel, she gasped. Go! Looking back, she saw the two hitmen run out of the restaurant, Brad with them, pointing down the block. The taxi lurched forward into the sea of taillights. She pulled a ring from her pocket. Under the passing streetlights, she saw the engraved tiger. Inside the band was an inscription, Fidelity before blood. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Don't go to your apartment. They are already there. Trust the ring. At the St. Regis, a palace of limestone and gold, a doorman stepped in front of her. Can I help you, miss? Deliveries are around the back. Amara swallowed hard. I need to see Mr. Alastair. We have no guest or staff by that name, he said firmly. Please, Amara insisted. Mr. Kwan sent me. She held up her hand, turning the ring so the onyx tiger faced out. The doorman's face went pale. The arrogance vanished, replaced by terrified respect. My apologies, he whispered, tapping his earpiece. Code black in the lobby. Escort required immediately for a VIP. He held the door open. Two large men in suits appeared and flanked her, escorting her past the gawking patrons. The elevator doors opened before she pressed the button. A man in his 50s stood inside, impeccably dressed. Miss Amara, he said, extending a hand. I am Mr. Alastair. I believe you have something that belongs to my employer. Is he safe? Amara asked as the doors closed. Mr. Alastair smiled coldly. Mr. Kwan is unkillable, my dear. But tonight, you're the one we are worried about. Welcome to the sanctuary. The elevator ascended to an unlisted floor, a key card required for access. The doors opened into a sprawling apartment that was more of a war room than a penthouse. Bulletproof windows overlooked the city. Monitors showed camera feeds from every street corner for blocks, and men with submachine guns paced the hallways. You must be hungry, Mr. Alastair said. I have taken the liberty of ordering a steak and a change of clothes. Your size, I believe, is a 4-inch. How do you know my dress size? We are thorough, he said. Mr. Kwan values precision. Amara showered in a marble bathroom, washing away the fear. She found a black cashmere sweater, dark jeans, and leather boots laid out on the bed. They fit perfectly. When she returned to the living room, a steak and a glass of red wine were waiting. She ate voraciously. Where is he? She asked Mr. Alastair. He is concluding some business, he replied, turning on a large television. A breaking news banner scrolled across the screen. Explosion at Midtown Restaurant. Flames shot from the windows of Aurelia. No one was inside, Mr. Alastair said calmly, except perhaps for the rats. Mr. Gregory was found in the alleyway before the fire started. Police are calling it a robbery gone wrong. Very tragic. He seems to have slipped and fallen on several bullets. Amara felt sick. You killed him. We didn't do anything, Miss Amara, Mr. Alastair said seriously. The Dalton crew held the lease on that building. They burned it to destroy evidence. Gregory was their liability. They cleaned up their own mess. That is the nature of working for men like Marco Dalton. The penthouse door opened. Mr. Kwan walked in. He was shaved, wearing a charcoal 3-piece suit that cost more than Amara's childhood home. He was the powerful Korean Mafia boss she'd heard whispers about. He moved with the power of a locomotive, but his eyes softened when he saw her. Amara, he said, taking her hands. You are safe. You burned my workplace, she said, her voice shaking. I did no such thing, Mr. Kwan replied. Marco Dalton burned it. He thought I was still inside. He is a sloppy man. And he knows who you are, which is why you cannot go back home. Not for a while. My grandmother. Amara shot up. They'll go after her. Mr. Kwan held up a hand. Sit. Mr. Alastair handed him a tablet. On the screen was a live video feed of a private hospital room. In the bed, sleeping peacefully, was Amara's grandmother. A massive man sat in a chair next to the door. That is David, my nephew, Mr. Kwan said. He is the best bodyguard in the city. Your grandmother was moved to the Mount Sinai VIP wing an hour ago. All expenses are paid. Tears welled in Amara's eyes.
Why?
I just gave you soup. Mr. Kwan leaned forward. You didn't just give me soup, Amara. You gave me my life. The Dalton crew breached my security. My own advisor gave them my route. I was alone, unarmed, freezing. If you had pointed me out, I would be dead. The balance of power in New York would have shifted to men who sell fentanyl to children. You stopped that. He stood up, looking at the burning reflection of the city in the window. Tomorrow morning, I am going to remind them why they fear me. And I need your help. The next morning, Mr. Kwan and his capos plotted a war. The Daltons are holding a victory dinner tonight at Il Palazzo, their headquarters, he said, pacing before a map. They think I am Ash. So we hit them there? Asked Milo, a burly enforcer. No, Mr. Kwan said sharply.
Il palazzo is a fortress.
A head-on attack is a bloodbath. We need to walk in. We need someone they don't recognize who can get close to Marco Dalton. All eyes turned to Amara. Me, she said. No, Mr. Kwan said immediately. It is too dangerous. They know my face, Amara argued, a strange, cold anger replacing her fear. But they don't know me. They think I'm just a waitress who got scared. They threaten my grandmother. I want my life back, Mr. Kwan. The only way to get it is to help you finish this. Mr. Kwan saw the fire in her eyes. What is your plan? They'll be hiring extra staff for the party, right? Yes, Mr. Alastair interjected. They requested 10 extra servers this morning. I'm a waitress, Amara said. Get me in as a server. I get close to Marco. I find a way to disable the backdoor security from the inside. Your men come in. Mr. Kwan stared at her for a long time. If they recognize you. They saw a girl in a sloppy uniform with wet hair for 10 seconds, Amara said. Make me look different. They won't see Amara, the waitress. They'll see whatever you want them to see. Mr. Kwan nodded slowly. Alastair, call the stylist. Get the makeup team. And get me a wire that fits in an earring. Tonight, we dine at Il Palazzo. The transformation took 3 hours. A stylist who usually worked for Vogue cut Amara's hair into a sharp, chic bob and dyed it raven black. Makeup highlighted her cheekbones and darkened her eyes. She put on the catering uniform, a short black skirt and a crisp white shirt, but Mr. Alastair's team made adjustments, sewing in a microphone and fitting her with a nearly invisible earpiece. When Amara looked in the mirror, she saw a dangerous, beautiful stranger. Perfect, Mr. Kwan said. There is a red button under the desk in the main office. Press it and the magnetic locks on the loading bay disengage. My men will be waiting. If you feel unsafe, you say the word storm into the mic. We will crash the front gate. I will not let you die. I'm ready, Amara said. Il Palazzo was a gaudy mansion, all gold and velvet. The party was in full swing, thick with cigar smoke and arrogance. Amara walked in with the catering team, her head down, offering champagne and canapes. She saw him, Marco Dalton, at the head table in a white suit, laughing loudly. Beside him sat Rocco, the scarred man from the restaurant. Her heart hammered. Steady, Mr. Kwan's voice came through her earpiece. Do not make eye contact with the bodyguard. Focus on Marco. Amara took a deep breath and walked straight toward the lion's den. More champagne, sir? Marco stopped laughing, his eyes roving over her body. Well, hello. What's your name, sweetheart?
Bella, Amara lit smoothly. Marco grinned.
Beautiful. You stay close to this table, Bella. Rocco shifted, his eyes narrowing. He tilted his head, studying her. You look familiar, he rumbled. Amara felt his gaze burning into her. I have a common face, she said playfully. Maybe you've seen me in your dreams. The table laughed, but Rocco kept staring. I need a refill on the vodka, Marco said, grabbing her wrist. Get the good stuff from my office. Private stash. This was it. Of course, sir. Where is the office? Down the hall, last door on the left. Amara pulled her wrist away and walked off, feeling Rocco's eyes on her back. I'm moving to the office, she whispered into her collar. Copy that, Mr. Kwan replied. We are in position. 2 minutes. She found the lavish office and rushed to the mahogany desk, crouching to find the red button.
Click.
The sound of a pistol hammer cocking echoed in the room. She turned slowly. Rocco stood in the doorway, a suppressed pistol aimed at her head. He had followed her. I knew it, he said with a cruel smile. The waitress from the bistro. You cleaned up nice, but you still smell like fear. Is the old man alive? Amara couldn't speak. She was trapped. She eyed the button 3 feet away. Storm, she whispered. Storm, storm. He can't help you, Rocco laughed, squeezing the trigger.
Click.
The dry snap of a firing pin hitting a dud primer. Rocco stared at his gun in disbelief, frantically racking the slide. Cheap Russian crap, he snarled. That split second was her only chance. Amara grabbed a heavy crystal bottle of cognac from the desk and swung it with all her might. The heavy crystal connected with Rocco's temple with a sickening crunch. He crumpled to the floor. Amara threw herself under the desk and slammed the red button. A heavy clang echoed from deep within the mansion. Door is open, she screamed into her mic. I'm in the office. Rocco is down. Get down, Amara. Mr. Kwan's voice roared in her ear. Cover your ears. The office window shattered as a flashbang grenade was tossed inside. The room filled with blinding light and a deafening sound. Amara curled into a ball as heavy boots hit the floor. A hand grabbed her shoulder. She flinched, but it was David, Mr. Kwan's nephew, now in tactical gear. You did good, he grinned. Now stay here. Uncle wants a word with the host. The party outside had turned into a nightmare for the Dalton crew. Waiters drew weapons, the back doors flew open, and Milo led 20 armed men into the hall. The music cut out. Marco Dalton overturned a table for cover, pulling a gold-plated pistol. Kill them, he screamed. Then the main doors swung open. Mr. Kwan walked in, unarmed, moving slowly through the center of the room. The firefight seemed to pause. You're dead, Marco whispered, seeing him. I burned you. You burned a building, Marco, Mr. Kwan said, his voice carrying through the hall. You cannot burn a legacy. You broke the rules. You brought noise to the city. You threatened civilians. She's a rat, Marco screamed, raising his gun. Before he could aim, a single shot rang out. Marco howled, dropping his pistol and clutching his ruined right hand. Mr. Alastair stood at the entrance to the hallway, lowering his smoking weapon. Amara stood beside him, pointing. She is not a rat, Mr. Kwan said, walking up to the whimpering Marco. She is the only person in this room with honor, he signaled to Milo. Take him. The police will find him tied to a lamp post with a confession note. He will spend the rest of his life in a cage. Mr. Kwan turned to the terrified guests. The Dalton family is dissolved. Go home. He walked over to Amara, who was finally letting the adrenaline leave her system. He draped his suit jacket over her shoulders. The car is waiting, he said softly. Let's go get your grandmother. 6 months later, the sun shone on a newly renovated building on 52nd Street. The charred remains of Aurelia were gone. In its place stood a building of rustic stone with flower boxes overflowing with basil. The sign above the door was hand-painted in gold leaf, The Haven. It looks good, a voice said behind her. It was Mr. Kwan, looking relaxed in a wool sweater and flat cap. The contractor finished early. Milo can be very persuasive. He handed her a thick envelope.
The deed.
Free and clear. The building, the land, the business. It is all in your name, Amara. I can't accept this, Mr. Kwan. It's too much. You don't have a job, he corrected her. You have a legacy. You saved my life. This isn't a payment. It's an investment. He pointed to the window, where the former hostess from Aurelia, now Amara's general manager, was arranging flowers. You have the heart of a lioness, Amara. But you belong in the light, not in the shadows with me. This place will be a sanctuary. Good food, good wine, no gunmen. Definitely no Gregory's, Amara laughed. I will come by for the grand opening, he said, stepping toward his car. I expect the best table. Table 9, Amara smiled. In the back corner. Reserved forever. As the black car disappeared into traffic, Amara looked at her restaurant. She unlocked the front door and flipped the sign from closed to open. A couple walked up. Excuse me, the man asked. Are you open for lunch? Amara smiled, the same warm smile that had saved a life in the rain 6 months ago. Yes, she said. Welcome to the Haven. Come in out of the cold. This story shows us the profound impact of empathy and the unexpected strength found in kindness. Amara's decision to help Mr. Kwan, a stranger everyone else scorned, was an act of pure compassion rooted in the lessons of her family. It was this simple, powerful choice that not only saved a life, but also gave her the courage to face down a crime syndicate and reclaim her own future. Her journey reminds us that true strength isn't about power or intimidation, but about persevering with your principles intact, and that one person's refusal to let the world harden their heart can change everything. What do you think of Amara's decision to lie for Mr. Kwan? Would you have done the same? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to the channel for more videos. Thank you for watching.